Welcome back to Red Wolf Roundtable. It's been a hot minute since we've been on the show, but we are glad to be back in these seats. We've got some special guests on the show today, here to talk about some basketball and some baseball later on in the show. Benjamin McDowell and Christian Sandoval join us on the show. I'm Jacob Cater along with Mr. Caton Marsh. Want to shout out real quick before we get into everything. The A-State women's bowling team has been doing phenomenally. They've made it to the Final Four of the national championship in Cleveland this weekend. So shout out to them and best wishes to the A-State women's bowling team. Now let's get into some stuff about what we're going to be talking about today. Basketball, women's NIT. We're going to be reviewing what went down. Big run there by the A-State women's basketball, but came up just a bit short. Going to be going over that, and we're going to be going over some baseball. Lots to unpack there, many ups, many downs, and a big weekend series that's coming up this weekend in Jonesboro. So be sure to stay tuned here on Red Wolf Roundtable. We'll be right back.
Students should watch ASU-TV just to see the creativity that a college student can get. The creativity that some of these students have is truly amazing. Getting that experience can really just take you further, and I feel like our program does that for a lot of students.
Red Wolf Radio is a student-led organization at Arkansas State University wanting to hear your takes on pop culture, music, the news, and college life. Just about anything you can think of. Located in the Education and Communications building on campus, we are always looking for more volunteers. So if you're an Arkansas State University student, no matter the major, and this is something that interests you, shoot us an email at redwolfradio@astate.edu. That's redwolfradio@astate.edu. Let them hear you howl.
I think one of the things I learned at Arkansas State was life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you respond to it, and that's just something that I live by.
A-State is home, and they're going to treat you like you're a part of the family.
And we're back here to talk about some basketball. Had a lot of stuff going on this past month, I guess. It's been a little bit since we've been on the show. Talking about some transfer portal. The season has officially come to the end. And, you know, along with that, we've got the NCAA transfer portal window opening up. Men's basketball, first of all, taking a lot of losses. Yep. We do have some key pieces that are staying. But we're going to talk about some of these guys and what we're losing. Just learned a few minutes ago that Judy Diorama's leaving in the portal. Christian Harmon, Joey Chama, Sunbelt Six Man of the Year, Joey Chama, Freddie Salam Salah, TJ Caldwell, and those are the ones that are leaving in the transfer portal. Oh, Jackson Ellingsworth is another one.
So similar to last year, obviously the news of Hodgkinson leaving made everybody want to leave Arkansas State basketball, and when Pannone comes in, he gets guys from the lower tier schools to come play for him outside of someone like TJ Caldwell and Chandler Jackson. And the biggest problem with this team that we kind of mentioned at the start of the year was how old we were, and we had a lot of graduates. We didn't mention them, but about 4 to 5 of them, and they were all starters, so those guys are gone. And then all the players that you mentioned. So this is a very similar situation that we're seeing now. Like last year, some of the guys that are staying, Ali. We got Royal Blue, and we got Grayson Bennett, 2 freshmen, 1 starter. So hopeful for the future, but yeah, it's going to be a whole new team again. I don't know if your guys' input want to be put in.
Yeah, no, it's practically just kind of what you just said. It's a whole new team. And not to mention the 2 red shirts that are sitting on the bench as well, and Weston Honeycutt and CJ Gathers. Like, it's going to be a new team, and this is going to be a very interesting test to see how Pannone gets through this next season.
Absolutely. You've got some young talent there that you can build around in Royal Blue and Grayson Bennett, both you said freshmen. Royal Blue got some playing time this year, and we were very impressed with him. We talked about him a few times on the show. We were very impressed with what Royal Blue, his potential could be, and I'm glad that he's staying to play out that potential for another year here at Arkansas State.
Also, I've heard some news about Terrence Ford entering the transfer portal. Maybe a reunion with Arkansas
Maybe a
State.
reunion. Hey, you never
Wanna
know.
come back?
You never know. Women's basketball. Now, so the men's season came to an end in the Sun Belt tournament. The women's got some postseason play in the WNIT. Made it to the final, the Fab Four, is what they call it. The Fab Four in the WNIT. Game 1 defeats Radford 83-52. Just a blowout. Of course,
This was a domination game by
Really
Arkansas
was.
State. This is a team that I don't think Radford has seen before, clearly, because we just outpaced them in practically everything. The defense got the better of them, and someone like Winter Rogers had a Kyrie Irving game. Got bumped in the nose, put the face mask on, and she went off. So a domination win against Radford for sure.
Winter Rogers had 17 points and 10 rebounds that game. A-State had 22 points off turnovers in that game. 22 points off turnovers compared to Radford's 6.
I know that's always going to win a game right there, especially just with how much Radford was turning the ball over and how much A-State was capitalizing, whether that be in the mid-range or the 3 or off of just second chance. And that's probably the best I've seen them play all season.
Radford's shooting didn't help them either, shooting 34% from the field, 25% from the
Zion Shannon also had 17 points in this contest, 7 rebounds and she shot 50% from three-point range in that game. Lots of good shooting in the first 3 games of this tournament.
I'm
And
going to talk about Purdue-Fort Wayne.
yeah, that's the
That
next
game was
game.
electric.
Purdue-Fort Wayne, A-State wins 83-72.
This game was a lot closer than it actually seemed to be, because in real life, A-State was dropping them. I think we had close to 35 in the first quarter. Threes were raining. I think we tied the three-point record for the season at 19 or 20.
20.
This was an amazing game, and one of those star players being Anaya Ruddick, and one of our star returners for next season. She shot 7 for 10 from 3, had 21. It seemed like she couldn't be stopped. So it was a great game for Arkansas State, closer than it seemed, but absolute domination again.
Absolutely, and I like what we saw from Ruddick. She's one that hasn't really just stood out all year, but she really came alive in this WNIT tournament. Again, you said 70% from three-pointers. She had 21 points. Zion Shannon had 18 points. She had a really good tournament as well. 56% from 3. And then Peyton Fields is another one that we really didn't hear much from in the regular season, but she played against Purdue-Fort Wayne and had 11 points and shot 60% from three-point. So, again, points off turnovers in this game was 33 for Arkansas State. Now, going into Game 3 against Cleveland State, this one was another pretty dominant win for the Lady Red Wolves, 71-53. Winter Rogers, again, the leading scorer for the Lady Red Wolves.
Great game to go on.
Absolutely. That's probably like one of the best. Again, like I'm going to keep saying this, and that's probably the best I've seen Rogers play in the last couple of years that she's been here. Absolutely dominating in the paint when she needs to. That mid-range, especially at the elbows, was phenomenal.
Absolutely. 20 points, 64% from field goal range, and 5 rebounds for Rogers. Zion Shannon had 14 points. And this game, Arkansas State just kind of outpaced Cleveland State from the beginning. Cleveland State could not keep up with Arkansas State. They kind of just ran the floor with them, could not keep up, and by the end of the first half, they were exhausted.
I think a lot of the games that we watched prior to Marshall and in this tournament, and kind of what I said similar to Radford, was I think these teams haven't seen something like Arkansas State, someone that would constantly press you, put pressure on you. And it was evident the whole game when they would bring up the ball up the court that these people were struggling, and they were struggling hard. So points off turnovers were always going to happen, and to outscore them that much, it was pretty clear that these teams had no chance against Arkansas State.
Well, that brings us to the Final Four game.
And which that
Fab
didn't turn
Four
out so
game, a home contest against a conference opponent in the Marshall Lady Thundering Herd.
Yep.
Play was not great in this one as opposed to what they had been in the rest of the tournament. Bella Weary was the leading scorer. She had 19 points, shot 67% from field goal range, and had 7 rebounds. She also played some pretty good defense.
Yeah, we got to shout her out for having a lot of heart because we were down the whole game. I think the closest we got was 1 point, and I believe at that point it was 56-55, and she was one of the playmakers to make that happen. Her defense was phenomenal, 2 to 3 steals, if not more, if I'm not mistaken, but at least from my memory, that's what she had, and 5 steals. But overall, I think she was the playmaker, the difference maker of the game, along with Rose.
Yeah, Rose had 16 points and shot 67% from field goal range. She had 6 assists along with those stats. But I think it's safe to say that Marshall had the better game all around in this one.
Absolutely. And like it was mentioned in the broadcast, this was not the first time the two teams had faced off against each other. A-State played them in Huntington, had obviously lost that game. And just with the pace that Marshall was running that entire game, and with how exhausted A-State had become at the bit of the fourth quarter, you could tell there was just no coming back from that.
It's very uncharacteristic of us, I believe.
Absolutely,
It just,
very uncharacteristic.
It didn't seem as if we were really in it at all. I think it was similar to our tournament game against Troy. There were moments in which it seemed like we could come back, but in the end, we didn't score very much at all, like at a high level, especially early on in the game. There was a point where we had a long stretch of standing around in the bank, and Marshall had a 13-2 lead against us in the first quarter. So that being said, with not shooting well from 3, overall just turning the ball over in certain situations where you don't need to, not scoring, taking bad shots, Marshall just got the best of us and advanced.
Benji, I know you got something to say.
Yeah, if you go back and you look in the previous games, I know Des talked about running more backdoor cuts. I think that's why we seen Winter really be her full self in the tournament. That's why you saw a lot of point paints. If you go back and look some of the stats, a lot of the points in the paint were more than the three-pointer. And that was not something, that was uncharacteristic because in the regular season, obviously we go crazy from 3, so we live by the 3, die by the 3. So I think it was good this whole tournament to see us, Des call more plays in the paint, us have more paint points. I think the biggest thing for this game is the 1-3-1 zone for Marshall. They threw that at us. We could not shoot out of that. And I think it was tricky for us because we didn't shoot well. We shot 25% this game. When we previously played Marshall, we shot 7 for 50. And so that 1-3-1 zone, they just couldn't get past it. And we tried to, obviously get out of it and go in the paint. But I think some of the play calls that Des tried to use in terms of more backdoor cuts was just ineffective because those open threes we weren't hitting. And so, I don't know. I think very uncharacteristic of our team. It looked kind of weird to just see our team kind of flustered. And I think a lot of the nerves kind of we just never could settle in.
And this was against an eventual WNIT winner, Marshall, as well.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. They did go on to win the whole tournament. So.
Absolutely. You could tell I think they were running as well. They were running just a faster pace. And it's like you were saying, Benjamin, they're just there's no heart in it. You could just tell they were just exhausted. I'm guessing they were just exhausted for having to go back to back to back in the span of that whole week. And I mean, obviously, the game did get close towards the end, but I think just with the heart that Marshall was playing, you knew they were the better team.
Credits number 3 to Maya. She dropped 31 on us that night.
Absolutely.
She went crazy. She was very efficient, shot well from the 3. She went to the free throw line a bunch. I think I have she went to the free throw line a good amount. She went 10 times, hit 10 of the 12. So anytime you're going to the free throw line, creating more buckets for your team, that's always very good. It's a positive. And yeah, she went crazy. I don't think we could stop her either, which we weren't getting enough stops to get ourselves. Every time we got back in the game, we went on a run, they punched us back with another run. So I don't think we could ever get over that hump either, especially in the third quarter.
Yeah. Before we close this segment out, we talked about the transfer portal for the men's team. Let's talk about the transfer portal a little bit here for the women's team. Not as much of a shakeup for this team. I know we're getting some good recruits out of high school. We've got a 4-star recruit coming for the Lady Red Wolves, but we also have some big returners. Kristen Rose comes back. Anaya Ruddick, who went off in the tournament, comes back, and Allison Ferguson comes back for this Lady Red Wolf team. Those are all the ones that have declared that they're coming back so far, but we look forward in the coming weeks to see who all declares that they're coming back to Arkansas State and who all says that they are leaving.
Kind of wanted to talk about that real quick. All the players that did leave, we had a bigger batch of graduates this year, and that being Winter, that being Zion, that being Mia Tarver, and a lot of players that I didn't get to mention. But that being said, to get Crystalline Rose, a true point guard, back another year, that's huge for this women's basketball team. And to get Ruddick back, she's a true shooting guard. They'll be able to dish off each other really well. And then the other one that you said was Allison Ferguson. And the limited time that I got to see her play, I think she'll take over the Winter Rogers role, being the big for this team, or even like a bigger forward for this team. I think she'll take it over really well. She had a lot of fight in the paint when it came to rebounding, and I think for those three key pieces to get them back, that's huge for next year, and the other spots will be filled quite nicely, I guarantee it.
Absolutely. That's all we've got for this segment. Be sure to tune in just a moment as we come back and talk about some baseball. Thanks for watching. Well, I've got news for you. There it is. There it is.
Students should watch ASU-TV just to see the creativity that a college student can get.
Red Wolf Radio is a student-led organization at Arkansas State University wanting to hear your takes on pop culture, music, the news, and college life. Just about anything you can think of. Located in the Education and Communications building on campus, we are always looking for more volunteers. So if you're an Arkansas State University student, no matter the major, and this is something that interests you, shoot us an email at redwolfradio@astate.edu. That's redwolfradio@astate.edu. Let them hear you howl.
I think one of the things I learned at Arkansas State was life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you respond to it, and that's just something that I live by.
A-State is home, and they're going to treat you like you're a part of the family.
There's been some ups and downs on the Red Wolf Diamond in the past few weeks. Highs and lows across the board for these Red Wolves, but we've still got a really good baseball team out there on the field. Let's talk about the first thing and probably the biggest thing that's happened that we've missed. A series win against Southern Miss, who was at the time ranked 7th in the nation. The Golden Eagles come in to Jonesboro and lose 2 out of the 3. The Red Wolves looked really good in this series.
They looked phenomenal. Like Cater said, this was a really big series. We took a lot of record-breaking stats this game. We took the first time beating 2 different top 10 ranked opponents in the same season in school history, 2 top 10 victories since 2019, and 4th time in school history, first home win over a top 10 ranked opponent since 2016, 4th highest ranked win at home in school history, 11th win versus a top 10 ranked opponent in program history, and best record through 19 games since 1997. And that's just after the first game.
Yeah. It was definitely, if you weren't there for this game or this series, then you missed out. Set attendance records as well for, at the Tom.
It's very crowded.
Very crowded, because if you've ever been there, it's not a huge stadium, but lots of people turned out to watch this team play. And I think that just comes to show how passionate people are about the Red Wolves sports as a whole, and specifically baseball in this part of the
I
state.
think this series should show A-State athletics that they should put some more funding into the baseball stadium.
I think they're
Please.
working on it, slowly but surely. Yeah.
But yes, we had a total of 4,771 fans that weekend.
Yeah, yeah, and we set the weekend record of attendance. We set single game attendance records. So definitely a big weekend for A-State athletics and A-State baseball. But we had a lot of, big time players. Ashton Quiller has had quite the season. Derek Martinez, since this series against Southern Miss, has come a long way as the freshman. He has done phenomenally in these past few weeks. But I want to break down some of these players that have been key in these games. Starting with the Southern Miss series, we had Kaysen Campbell, who hit 2 homers, one of them to take the lead in one of these games, and then we have some really good pitching. I've been very impressed with our pitching.
I think this is kind of where Kaysen Campbell started to come alive, and definitely appreciate him for that, because he was one of the difference makers for the Southern Miss. Some of the pitching, like you said, Chase Richter, Tyler Weimer. Obviously, I'll go on and on about Tyler Weimer, but if there's some other players that you want to mention. I know there's probably a few.
I know we got a couple wins. Like you said, Tyler Weimer, Brett Foss did phenomenal. 3 innings pitched, 2 strikeouts. Farley with 6 innings pitched, 4 Ks, and he didn't allow a hit till the top of the 4th in the 3rd game. So that was phenomenal as well. So I think this series really showed that our team is a well-rounded roster, like offense and defense. The offense can get the lead, and then the defense can hold that lead and capitalize on getting the lead from the other team.
Absolutely, and after this series was over, Arkansas State was ranked number 22 in the nation by Baseball America, which is one of the college polls. And then they went to Georgia State, and this one didn't go as well as expected. Lost the series 1-2. Richter pitched. He actually did very well in the first game. 6 innings pitched with 7 strikeouts. Still an A-State loss in that one. Couldn't capitalize with our runners on, stranded a lot of runners in scoring position in that ball game. In the second game, 11 runs in the last 3 innings, really came alive, really earned that win over Georgia State for the only win against Georgia State. And then the third game, we did have some back-to-back home runs. We really saw Derek Martinez start to come alive in this Georgia State series, and he's been on fire ever since. And then James Madison, 2-1. This was last weekend.
Great series.
And this was a really good series. If you didn't get to watch this was some good baseball. Back-to-back, really good games. Had a lot of home runs. Also, some extra innings. Free baseball was offered to the fans at the stadium. Talk about some of these games, because we saw a lot of stuff happen here.
So me and Julia obviously work close to the baseball team, and the first game, spirits were kind of down. We were down quite a bit. JMU was, I think, in doubt before coming into this game about winning, and especially in Jonesboro with how Arkansas State was playing. They proved us wrong that early part of that game, but then A-State comes back. We're sitting there at the field, and then boom, it's like a walk-off home run. They win it. I'm confused on how we come back. But we did. And that second game, I'll let you go into that one a little bit more.
Yeah, so the first one, like Kaiten said, it was really slow, but the second it starts to pick up, it's like they just build off of each other. We're a really good building off of each other team. Like the second the ball gets rolling, it's like it's going downhill. Like it just keeps on going and going. Now, the second game, we still had a good amount of plays. We still had some good hits with Jake Henry Williams hitting his first career triple and a home run from Martinez and Mustow, but we did have 2 errors. So it was which team could capitalize on the other the most, and sadly we did fall to that one with the extra inning too. So that was a really tight game with a lot of hits. And then in the third game, we had no earned runs allowed. So that was a phenomenal game. We had a win from Dylan Farley with 5 innings pitched and 4 strikeouts. So that was a really big defensive game. I think like bats weren't really swinging that much. So it was really pitcher versus pitcher, infield versus infield.
The defense looked great that third game for sure. I think that's kind of what set us apart compared to the other games.
You know, we got to see some guys that don't normally get to play in this series. I believe there was one game that it was kind of just an entirely new field, guys, and they came through and they proved themselves. You know, this is why I have a spot on this team. So shout out to them. In this series, they really, you know, showed that they can contribute to this team in that way. Midweek game that week was against Memphis. They headed over across the river and lost 9-11 to the Tigers. But we had a really, really big inning in the 6th.
This was a very similar game to that James Madison first approach to the series. We're down big. First few innings, I think they scored 8 in the first 4.
Yeah, it was like 8-1.
Yeah, and then I end up going to leave for a second, and I come back, and we're down 8-6. And this is when the 4 home run inning happened. And then I'm
With 2
back.
outs, by the way.
I'm back, and here comes cross jumper. Here comes Derek Martinez, and it completely flips. It's 8-8 now. And then another home run puts it up 9-8. Unfortunately, we don't get the win. Memphis takes the better of us. But the fact that we came back down that big, I think proves how good our offense can be all the time. And I don't think there's ever a game between that JMU game and that Memphis game where you can truly doubt where the offense can just flip that switch. And it's game time for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw, you know, some big-time plays in that game. We saw some big-time plays in the next series. But after this Memphis game, Caden Amundsen was put on the Buster Posey National Catchers Award watch list right after this Memphis game. He's been playing phenomenally behind the plate for the Red Wolves so far this season, by the way. And then we went to Troy in Alabama, and the road woes continued. A-State has not really proven themselves on the road yet this season. They did go to Ole Miss and play a close game with them at the beginning. They lost to that one. Of course, this Memphis game. And then this Troy series. Quiller did really good. Griffiths had a grand slam. We saw some really good hitting in this series, but unfortunately, they dropped 2 games to the Trojans. So, you know, it was kind of a hard thing to see, and we're hoping that they can improve themselves as they travel more this season. But then they came back home, and you know what happens when we come back home, because they played Memphis, part 2, and they absolutely obliterated them.
You come home and you get a Patrick Inkskov walk-off. That's what you get.
Run roll walk-off. 12-2 was the final score in 8 innings. Cooper Garrison pitched really well in this ball game, and then Derek Martinez hits another home run. Derek Martinez, I believe, has had 8 home runs in the past 3 weeks. Yeah. And like he is now 1 away from the tie with the team lead with Lane Walton, and so he has been phenomenal as a freshman playing for these Red Wolves so far.
And going into the first Memphis game, we were on the way there, and we get the email saying that he was going to be Sunbelt Player of the Week. And we're like, oh my gosh, like this is so awesome, you know, especially for a true freshman coming into Arkansas State. And then he hits 2 bombs while we're there. And I was like, Derek, this is why they put you on SBC Player of the Week. Like, this is why. Like, you've earned it. And like you said, we had that one game where it got later in the game and we completely scratched the whole roster. And I'm not afraid to say if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, we were kind of slacking. We were falling behind. It's like we were moving in slow motion, honestly. And so that gave our other players really time to sit there and prove themselves. And I think that's doubling off of what I said earlier, that our roster truly proves themselves and why they deserve to be here.
Absolutely. We'll be right back here on Red Wolf Roundtable as we finish things off on this episode, talking about what is to come this week for the A-State Red Wolves. We'll be right back.
Students should watch ASU-TV just to see the creativity that a college student can get. The creativity that some of these students have is truly amazing. Getting that experience can really just take you further, and I feel like our program does that for a lot of students.
Red Wolf Radio is a student-led organization at Arkansas State University wanting to hear your takes on pop culture, music, the news, and college life. Just about anything you can think of. Located in the Education and Communications building on campus, we are always looking for more volunteers. So if you're an Arkansas State University student, no matter the major, and this is something that interests you, shoot us an email at redwolfradio@astate.edu. That's redwolfradio@astate.edu. Let them hear you howl.
I think one of the things I learned at Arkansas State was life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you respond to it, and that's just something that I live by.
A-State is home, and they're going to treat you like you're a part of the family.
What's on the docket for the Red Wolves this week? Well, it's a big home series for baseball against number 11 Coastal Carolina. They come to town as the Chanticleers look to continue their dominant streak here in the Sun Belt Conference. They are 11-1 in the conference play this year so far, and the Red Wolves look to put a little dent in that. It's going to be a very big series, expecting some more big plays and some big players in these games, and then a midweek game against Southern Illinois. Team leaders on this team so far, Derek Martinez has taken over the lead in batting average. He leads with .370. Ashton Quiller has 40 hits, Lane Walton with 10 home runs and 34 RBIs, and Dylan Farley with a 2.38 ERA. Jack Nelson also has 45 strikeouts. So big weekend. Be sure to come out to the ballpark. They're giving away some baseball cards, I hear. So it'll be a fun time. Looks like it's going to be some good weather. So come out and watch number 11 Coastal Carolina, defending national champion runner-ups, come to town and take on the Red Wolves. Y'all have anything to add?
Nope. Can't wait to see everybody this weekend.
All right. Thank you for watching Red Wolf Roundtable today. Jacob Cater, Kate Marsh, and Julia McKee saying so long and Wolves up.